Welcome back to the It's Too Easy podcast. This is Jake and Zach. Hope you guys have been enjoying a little bit of time off. We've been just kind of chilling since the end of the NFL and CFB season, just kind of watching some basketball as things are starting to kind of come to a close. So far, just been mainly watching a lot of NBA on my side, but I know you've been a lot more connected with the college side of basketball. So I'll let you kind of take the lead on a lot of it, but a lot of 1 seeds, a lot of 3, 4, 5 seeds with a few upsets here and there. We'll try and spend as little time as we can with getting as much information out as possible, just to make it quick and easy for you guys. But there are 60 some odd games to go through, so it could take us a few minutes. But yeah, hope you guys enjoy it. First game on the slate, we got the South. It's going to be Auburn and Alabama State. That's your 1 versus 16. I don't think there's going to be too much to talk about there. I'm taking Auburn.
Not much to say there, Auburn. Yep.
Yeah. Then we got Louisville, Creighton. 8 versus 9. That's going to be a super fun one to watch. It's pretty much a pick 'em, I think, right now on ESPN. I'm personally taking Creighton just because that's where Dana Altman was before Oregon, so I always tend to support them where I can. So, yeah, I'm taking Creighton here.
Yeah, I like both teams. I think Louisville does a lot of things good. I think Creighton is great at shooting and a little bit bigger as well as experience. And so with that, I'm taking Creighton as well.
Right on. And then next we got Michigan and UC San Diego. Not sure exactly what UC San Diego's division looks like, but I know Michigan plays in the Big Ten. We got a really tough division this year, obviously with Oregon, SC, and Washington coming in. I'm just going to take Michigan here. I think they're the better team. I like the way they played this season. I don't have a lot of trust in them. I do like Michigan State this year a lot more. Feels like Tom Izzo's got that squad playing really good. Each time they played Oregon, Michigan State looked incredible. So I'm really looking for them to go deep. But yeah, I'm just going to take Michigan against UC San Diego.
I'm on the other side of this one. I'm taking San Diego. They are one of 5 teams in the country with 30 wins this year. I really like the way that they shoot the 3 ball, the way they play defense, and they do play Northridge and Irvine, who are usually very good, and this year they dominated the whole conference. I think Michigan looked a little bit tired in that last game against Wisconsin, so I'm going to stick with San Diego.
Right on. Then we got Texas A&M and Yale. Yale's been one of those teams that's just kind of been on upset alert. But Texas A&M at a 4 seed this year, they look pretty good. I have gotten a chance to watch a couple of their games. I like the way their guard play, so I'm just going to stick with Texas A&M.
Yeah, I'm going to stick with Texas A&M as well. I do think Yale is fun, and they knocked out Auburn in the first round last year, who was my squad. So I think Texas A&M is going to be ready. They have more length as well as good defenders, although Yale can hit shots at any moment, so I would be cautious with that one.
Yeah, for sure. Is there any input level on your microphone that you could turn up a little bit? Just turn up maybe like 1 or 2 notches if possible.
Good.
A little bit better. And then Iowa State and Lipscomb. No idea who Lipscomb is. I'm sure they're probably an out of bracket team that just made it in that had a great year. Iowa State's a very good team, so I just don't see them winning that one.
Yeah, I like Lipscomb. They're a fun team to watch, kind of like Duquesne last year, who came out and beat BYU. Iowa State is a top 20 offense and defense in the country. They are without Gilbert for the whole tournament, who's their star player. However, they should still be able to win at least 1 round, if not 2. So I do think Iowa State wins. I think Lipscomb could keep it close at 15 points and cover.
Yeah, right on. I like that. And then we got Marquette and New Mexico. 2 teams that are kind of – Marquette's always in there. In New Mexico, these last 5 years, it seems like they've been consistently in there and playing really good basketball. So I don't really have a solid pick for this one, but I do think Marquette's going to end up taking over.
Mm-hmm. I definitely was leaning Marquette at first. I ended up going with the Lobos because they are better defensively and they are big. And I definitely like their coach and the way that they've been playing as well. So I think this is a good one that New Mexico can get it done. Did we skip Ole Miss also?
Yeah, I think we did. Ole Miss and SDSU or UNC.
Yeah, and that UNC game's going on right now. They're smoking SDSU, which I figured they would. Their offense is phenomenal, top 20 in the nation, I think. And then their defense.
I'm taking them to beat Ole Miss too. Yeah,
I am taking Chapel Hill. A lot of controversy about them getting into the tournament. I don't think they should have made it, but I do think that they're going to make a run. So we'll take Chapel Hill to beat Ole Miss in the first round.
Yeah, I mean, if you got Duke as a 1 seed, this team's played Duke really well multiple times. So I just see that UNC should be able to make a run. Obviously, the SEC this year has gotten a lot better with their coaching and their players, being able to get a lot of guys in the portal. But I do think UNC will be able to make a little run if they can get some things together. They looked really good against Duke, so if they can kind of recreate that against some of these lower teams, then they should be able to win a few. Then coming back, last one in the South is Michigan State and Bryant. Already spoke about Michigan State briefly. They look really good. I do think that we're getting close to the end of Tom Izzo's career, even though I think he just signed a massive extension. I just think that it's going to be time for Michigan State to get one way or another. They've kind of been always that team that's like kind of a sleeper to go out, and then they go out in the first or second round, and nobody's really expecting it. So this year, kind of with everything revolving around the college landscape, everything being wide open, I could see this being their year.
Yeah, I definitely like Michigan State this year. I do think they make a run at it. Izzo's been to a lot of Final Fours, and I'm hoping that they get to another one this year. They do lack shooting, so the perimeter shooting is something to keep in mind as we move forward in the tournament.
Yep. And then let's move on to the West. The West first game got won, Florida versus Norfolk State. I'm taking Florida. A little precursor, I'm taking Florida to win the whole thing. I think Florida's looked great this season. The way they shoot the ball is pretty impressive to watch. So if they're not shooting it well, obviously everything can change in the tournament. But if they can keep their shooting up, I just don't see a whole lot of teams beating them.
Yeah, they just won the SEC tournament, and we're smoking everybody. Most people I've talked to have them winning it all. I don't think it's tough to say that we'll be having them go at least to the Elite Eight. We'll kind of see how feel it out from there.
Yeah, no, I think they're another one of those 5 teams with more than 30 wins on the season, so they're definitely going to be a scary one to look out for. Then we got UConn that dropped all the way down to an 8 seed playing Oklahoma. They're going to clutch up, I feel like, in the tournament. They've got good coaching, good players. I just don't see a way that Oklahoma is going to be able to take down the reigning champs.
Yeah, I think Hurley can outcoach them. I think their offense is still phenomenal. They've just lacked defensively, so I think they win probably in a high-scoring match with Oklahoma.
Yeah. Then we got Memphis and Colorado State. First one where other than UNC, that I'm really like on the bubble. I'm actually going to take Colorado State. I do think they've looked phenomenal. Obviously, it's a tough team to take them against in Memphis because when Memphis can light it up, they'll really light it up. So if Colorado State doesn't bring good defense, it could be a really tough game. But so far this season, they've played really good defense. Got into the tournament here, so why not give them a chance?
Yeah, these are 2 of like 5 teams that I had as sleeper teams coming into the tournament, and they both play each other. So I'm frustrated by this matchup, especially because I do think Memphis with a healthy Tyrese Hunter could make the Elite Eight, maybe even Final Four. Don't know at this exact moment if he's going to play. I'm going to lean as if he's not. Colorado State's defense is good enough to get them the win, as well as their shooting. They don't shoot as many threes as last year, but they still shoot the 3 effectively. So I'm going to take them to win as well.
Yep. And then we got Maryland and GCU. GCU's been kind of a sleeper. They're a really good basketball program right now. Maryland, I wasn't super impressed with them in the Big Ten. So as a 4 seed, I think they got a little bit too much respect, and they probably should have drawn a little bit tougher matchup. So I'm going to take GCU in this one. I feel like they're one of those programs that just randomly can upset, kind of like the Duquesnes and the Yales of last year. I feel like GCU's made it there a couple times now, newer university, and why not?
Yeah, and GCU took out St. Mary's last year also as a shout out for the Lopes. I got all my friends over there at GCU. I am going to take Maryland. I do think GCU covers. They're getting 11 points, so I think that's definitely worth something. Maryland's just really good 1 through 5 all the way through, and Grand Canyon doesn't do anything phenomenal this year. So I do think Maryland's at least going to get the win, but GCU maybe cover.
Yep, right on. So take my pick with a grain of salt there. I don't watch too much this year. Missouri and Drake. I'm just going to stick with 6 seed, take Missouri. Another one that I really don't feel great about just because Drake as a program, they are very hit and miss. Like they can have really, really good teams and then really, really bad teams the next year. So if they ended up getting one of those really good teams, I definitely could see a Drake win here if possible.
Yeah, I'm taking Drake money line. I do think they're going to win. They're also getting a couple points. Mark Mitchell's the star from Missouri, coming from Duke, and he is questionable. He'll probably play, I would assume. Drake also another team with 30 wins this year. Their coach may be on the move, but he's had new coach from last year, and they also had 30 wins last year. So a good program as of the last couple of years. I think they get an upset as an 11 seed.
Yeah, right on. Then we got Texas Tech and UNC Wilmington. Texas Tech's the third seed going against 14 here, so I'm just going to ride Texas Tech to win. I obviously haven't watched too much of this team. I actually prefer to watch Texas over Texas Tech so far just because I enjoy the Texas games. Have been really entertaining. But yeah, I'm just gonna take Texas Tech here. I don't know how good Wilmington is, but they're usually not quite on the level of Chapel Hill.
Yeah, Wilmington's usually got a pretty solid program. Again, it's not anything comparable to Duke or Chapel Hill or teams like that. So I am going to go with Texas Tech. They have a lot of length. They can shoot the ball well, and they get a lot of points on offensive rebounds. Wilmington, I do expect to put up a fight. I could see them keep it within 15, but I'm taking Texas Tech at least to win the game.
Yeah, right on. Then we got Kansas and Arkansas. I'm not quite so sure how Kansas dropped all the way down to a 7 seed. I can't remember the last time I've seen Kansas had anything lower really than like a 4 seed. So this is a little bit shocking to me. But just based on the matchup and based on the fact that Kansas is a basketball school, I'm going to take them to win the first round, just because they're Kansas.
Yeah, this is the first time under Bill Self that they haven't been a 1 through 4 seed. So it's funny that you say that.
Okay, that
They're a
makes
seventh
sense.
seed. Their team is just a bunch of guys that play individual ball. They don't play real well together, and they just haven't gotten it done defensively. Is their issue. I do think they're going to win this game. I think Arkansas is tough just because that's where Calipari's at now. But with one of their guys either missing or he's been missing and he's going to get plugged into the rotation, I think it could cause some issues for him. And I think Kansas will get it done.
Right on. And then the last one in the West, we got St. John's in Omaha. St.
Johnny's.
John's, I'm riding Rick Pitino. That dude's an absolute stud. He's got that team playing amazing basketball right now. I mean, Rick Pitino's just a winner wherever he goes, no matter what kind of drama comes behind it, he just wins. So
Mm-hmm.
for that fact alone, I'm taking St. John's, and I'm going to take them to beat Kansas too.
Yep, I got St. John's going far. Might
Yeah,
have made a
me
bracket
too.
them winning it all. I love them. They don't shoot the three ball well, so they probably won't get past maybe Elite Eight. But I would love to see them in the Final Four or even championship.
Yeah, for sure. And then moving on to the East, we got Duke and man, I don't even know who they're going to play. What are those
American
teams?
versus Mount St. Mary's. Yeah,
Yeah, so whatever it is, I'm taking Duke. Probably not going to have their star Cooper Flag in the first round, but I don't think it's going to
they
matter at
don't need
all.
them.
They
Yeah,
they're still really good. And if they get him back in the second round, they're a really scary team. They'll probably end up playing Baylor or Mississippi. Probably Baylor. I mean, let's be realistic. It's probably going to be Baylor. I don't know how good Mississippi State is, but yeah, I just feel like Duke's got definitely one of the easier rides and the easier brackets out of everybody so far. So I'm gonna stick with Duke. Mississippi State and Baylor. I am gonna take Baylor just because they've been a 1, 2, 3 seed, and I don't know how much they've lost. I didn't really get a chance to watch them, but Mississippi State's never really been known as a basketball school, like in general, and so I just don't see a way that they would be able to beat Baylor. But maybe I'm mistaken. We'll see.
yeah. I don't have too much of a preference. I haven't dove into these two teams too much because they play Duke next, so it doesn't matter. I
Yeah,
did take Mississippi State just because I'm tired of seeing Baylor. I don't like watching them. I don't like betting them. They suck, but I think they'll probably end up winning. So Mississippi State with a grain of salt.
yeah. And then Oregon and Liberty. Um, I'm kind of
Fan
back
the
and forth
flame,
here.
baby.
I,
That's our squads.
I'm gonna go with Oregon just because I think our defense, when we play our best defense, we are a really good team. Like we got some really good shot blockers with Shellstad and Biddle on our team. So I do think that we have the ability to play really good defense. The main thing that I have a problem with is our shooting can be super hit and miss. Like when we are missing bad, like really bad. And then when Shellstad and the other guys are making shots, they're usually pretty clean games. So I just want to see a clean game out of Oregon. As long as we can get back to our style of defense that we're used to and shoot the ball decent, we should be able to handle Liberty.
Yeah, so those that don't know, I'm at Liberty. Jake's went to Oregon, so he's an alum. I got the Flames in this one. I don't love it, but we are getting 7.5 points. I would probably take that. I also do just like that Liberty spaces the floor well. They shoot the ball well, and just kind of like Oregon, they're hit and miss with their shots. If they're hitting their threes, that's what it comes down to in this tournament. Is it's one game, so being able to space the floor and hit threes, I think is going to be effective. And I'm going to have a Liberty upset.
Right on. Then we got Arizona and Akron. Not much to say. Just taking Arizona. They're a pretty good basketball program, and not much has changed other than their conference. So I'm just gonna stay and ride with Arizona.
I'm going to go take another long shot here and go with Akron. I love them. They're fourth in the nation in assists per game. And so with that, I like their three ball activity, their movement of the basketball, and I really just haven't liked Arizona. They choked a couple years ago against Princeton. I was there for that game, and I really just don't like them even with Caleb Love now. So I'm hoping for a 12-13 matchup for my Liberty versus Akron.
Yeah, no, I mean this is the really the lowest I can think of an Arizona team in the last 5 years as well. So definitely a solid shot for a upset in there. And we got BYU and VCU. VCU, another one of those teams that's always been like on the upset horizon in the first round. But I just watched BYU play in their tournament, and man, they were really impressive to watch. I really like the way that they played. Um, in general, their guard play just seems really superior. So I'm expecting their guards to be able to take over that game, distribute the ball, and just be able to take down VCU.
Yeah, I really like the Cougs this year. They scare me because they lost last year to Duquesne first round. They do have a new 18-year-old, Yegor Demon, is expected to be a top 10 pick coming out the draft soon. With that, I do think that they play really good defense and they have a lot of guys that can shoot the three ball. They're also big down low in Oscar Shibwe. So I do think that they're going to beat a well-rounded VCU team.
Yeah, right on. Then we got Wisconsin and Montana. Not much to say there. Wisconsin, I think, won Big Ten. It was either them or
They
whoever.
beat
But I think
Michigan. Yep.
Wisconsin won it. Yeah, they're 3 seed. I don't think they're gonna have any trouble with Montana or BYU, really, to be honest. So I'm just going to pick Wisconsin here.
Um, if I'm betting it, I'm going to take Montana with the points. They're getting 17, and I do think that they match up fairly well. They're pretty big. It's just going to come down to shooting. I'm not going to take them to win. I'll take Wisconsin on the money line for
Yeah,
brackets.
right on. And then St. Mary's and Vanderbilt. No clue about Vanderbilt. They're usually a baseball school, and they usually suck at football and basketball. So it's kind of strange to see them up in here in the tournament, even though there are so many teams. St. Mary's, obviously, in California here, so we're pretty well familiar with them. We know they're generally a very good basketball school, the Gales, and I just don't see them losing this one. So I'm going to take St. Mary's.
I think a lot of people are going to take Vanderbilt just because they're one of 14 SEC schools in the tournament this year. I think the Gales go on to win this, and I think that they might upset Alabama in the round after that.
Yeah, right on. And for that, I'm obviously taking Bama against Robert Morris. It's 2 versus 15. Then moving to the Midwest, we got Houston and SIUE. No clue who that is, so I'm taking Houston.
Edwardsville, yeah.
Yeah, where is Edwardsville? I don't think
Yeah,
anybody
exactly.
knows.
Just outside of St. Louis. But yep, Houston's going to smack them.
Yeah, so yeah, they won't be there long. Gonzaga and Georgia. That's actually a pretty intriguing game. Two teams that are usually decent, especially Georgia. Ever since they've had Anthony Edwards through the program, it seems like they've always been decent. Gonzaga dropping all the way down to an 8 seed is kind of a shocker for me, considering they're a basketball school. Like, there's really nothing else going on up there, maybe other than soccer. So I'm not too sure. I really don't have a solid pick, but just based on kind of how the teams have played in the past, I'm going to take Gonzaga.
Yeah, Gonzaga's made the Sweet 16 in about a billion straight tournaments, and so I kind of want to do it again. We'll have to get into that matchup in a bit, but I am going to take them to win the first round against Georgia.
Yep, right on. Then we got Clemson and McNeese. I'm just going to take Clemson. I don't know too much about McNeese, but they're usually not too terrible at basketball. I just don't see a way they get through Clemson here.
Another program with 30 wins in McNeese had a good run last year, and then their coach is now expected to maybe go to NC State, so looking out for that. I do love Clemson this year. These, again, two teams that I loved as sleeper teams, so the 5-12 matchups are killing me between Clemson, McNeese, and the Memphis, Colorado State. I'm going to rock
Yep.
with Clemson in this one. I'm going to took the 12 in the last one. I'm going to take the 5 this one. I do like Clemson. I do think that they'll make it through a couple rounds.
Yeah. No, I like that team. I got a fuzzy feeling about the 5 seed thing. Like, just being a 5 seed kind of scares me, just because there's means you're a top 20 team and you're not like a top 10 team. So it kind of scares
Yeah.
me a little bit. But if they can get a run going, then they can definitely make it deep.
I had
We
to
got
take
Purdue
one
and High
five.
Point.
I had to take one
Yeah.
five because I went with the Liberty and I already went with San Diego
Yeah. There you go. But yeah, Purdue, High Point next.
and Colorado State.
Not,
I took all 12s
yeah.
pretty much.
So there you go. But yeah, 5 seeds better hope they have a bad time. Purdue and High Point. I'm just taking Purdue. They're 4 seed. I didn't watch too much of their basketball this year. They're usually decent, but I don't know if they really constitute a 4 seed. I'd never really heard enough about them to really know. Um, but I do think that as a 4 seed, they are definitely open for upset for sure in the future. I just don't think it's going to be this game.
Yeah, I'm taking Purdue in this one. High Point being only about an hour from me, they're actually one of the hottest teams in the nation right now. Given that Purdue also choked in the first round 2 years ago, I could see it happen again here. So if I'm betting it, I'm probably going to buy high point up to about 12 points. But I am going to take Purdue in the bracket.
Right on. Then we got Illinois and Texas or Xavier. Texas and Xavier barely sneaking in is kind of a shocker to me, but I'm thinking that Texas will probably win that game. I don't know how good Xavier is, but just from watching Texas a few games, I do think they're decent enough to make it. So if they do, I do think that they'll beat Illinois. Illinois has been really good the last few years, but obviously as a 6 seed this year, they're expected to win. I just don't know because over the last couple of years they have some really strange ways that they've gone out in the tournament where they just can they look terrible, like can't shoot the ball, can't pass the ball, can't play defense, and it's just been like I don't know how much faith to have in Illinois this year, so I'm just gonna ride with Texas or Xavier here and pick the 11 seed.
Yeah, I'm not too sure who's going to win that one. I'm kind of leaning on Xavier to beat Texas, but I am going to take Illinois. I do think they have a good big, and a lot of the guys that were there last year, so I think the experience is going to help them in that first round.
Yep, right on. Then we got Kentucky and Troy. Not too much to say. Taking Kentucky. Then
Kentucky with
UCLA.
caution, yeah, because they lost to
Yeah,
Oakland last year when Jack Golke had his career games. So.
yeah, true. UCLA and Utah State. I really have no lean on that one. I'm sure Utah State has the ability to upset, but I'm just going to take UCLA just because they're usually a basketball school. So
I'm
ride
taking
with
Utah
them.
State just because they shoot the three really well. I think they're shooting a 39% clip this year, and they have the pretty much same roster as last year, and they just have a good team that has chemistry. Wouldn't be surprised to see UCLA win, but I'm going to take Utah State.
Yeah, right on. Then last game in the round of 64, we got Tennessee and Wofford. Not too much to talk about. I'm taking Tennessee there. They're
Tennessee.
a really good basketball school. Really enjoyed watching them recently, actually. Tennessee's
Last
been a
few
really fun
years,
team
yeah.
to watch. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm going to take them. I do think they're going to make a deep run. Let's move to the round of 32. That leaves us in the South. We're going to have Auburn and Creighton. If things go to plan, going to take Auburn there. I think Auburn is susceptible for upsets, just based on I think they
Last
lost
year,
like 3 of their last 4 to end the
yeah.
season. So obviously they aren't as good as people are making them out to be. But in order to go deep, you got to get on a streak. If they can take out a 16 seed that's not very good, then they should be able to get some sort of momentum rolling. And this Creighton team's definitely not as good as they've been in the past. So I do think that Auburn will be able to win that game.
Yeah, I got Auburn. Not too much there. They're a good team. I don't think they're going to choke again this year.
Yeah. Then we got Michigan playing Texas A&M. I'm personally going to take Michigan in that one. I don't really have too much reason why. I just feel like Michigan is generally a much better team here. So that's my main reason.
I'm gonna take Texas A&M. I have them against San Diego. I just think Texas A&M is a better program. It's San Diego's first tournament. I think that they're going to make noise with that first round win, but then that's probably about it.
Right on. And then we have San
UNC,
Diego versus Michigan State or Iowa State versus Michigan State.
Ohio State
Um,
versus
I'm
UNC.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna take Iowa State. I have beating UNC or yeah, UNC. And then in the Iowa State versus Michigan State game, I'm taking Michigan State. I think that Michigan
Yep.
State's gonna make a deep run this year.
Yeah, I kind of think UNC, their offense is good enough to beat Iowa State, lacking one of their star players this year after his injury just happened. So with that, I'm going to take UNC to upset, and then yeah, I'll take Michigan State over both of them.
Yeah. So yeah, Michigan State over Marquette, and then obviously Iowa State over UNC or SDSU. I think UNC is crushing SDSU right now, so likely will be
Yeah.
them. Then yeah, Michigan State, Marquette, taking Michigan State. Then moving to the West, got Florida and UConn. I think if this is gonna be Florida's year, they got to win this game. So, why hello there, pupper.
Sam's trying to say
um,
hi.
yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna take Florida over UConn. Unless UConn kind of can get things together, I just don't see a way that they beat Florida. Florida looks great, so I'm just gonna stick with Florida here.
Yeah, Florida's front court is just too good. And then UConn, obviously being back-to-back champs, going for a three-peat. It's the former champs versus the potential champs. So I think Florida should handle them pretty easily.
Yeah, right on. Then we got Colorado State playing Grand Canyon if things kind of go the way we're expecting. If that game were to play out, I'm taking Colorado State to take down Grand Canyon. It'll either be GCU or Maryland. Yeah, I like Colorado State here. Even if it's Maryland, I think they have a solid shot as long as they can play some decent defense. So I like them in this situation here.
Yeah, I think Colorado State or Maryland could put up a fight. I think Maryland would be a better play against Florida, but I do kind of want to ride Colorado State over Maryland because whoever won Memphis, Colorado State, I did have making a little bit of a run.
Right on. And then we got Missouri and Texas Tech. I think if things work out, could be Drake versus Texas Tech if you like Drake. Personally, I'm just going to take Texas Tech as a 3 seed. They'll either play a 6 or 11 seed, so I think they should be able to handle that game.
Yeah, I got Texas Tech over Drake. I just think Drake obviously gets that first one over Missouri. I think Texas Tech is a little better offensively, shooting the ball, defensively. So I'll take them to move on and play the Johnnies after I have St. John's beating Kansas in the next round.
Yeah, I got St. John's as well. I think Rick Pitino's going to take that team far this year, so I'm looking forward to seeing kind of how the players respond to all of that. Then moving to the East, we got Duke and Baylor. Taking Duke to beat Baylor. Just don't think Baylor's going to have any sort of firepower to beat Duke, and I think they'll probably have Cooper Flag back by then. So I think that'll be a huge prop for Duke and help them kind of get back on their trajectory to winning.
Yeah.
And then yeah, Baylor, I don't
How
think
much to
really
say
has a
there,
shot.
Duke
Yeah.
win that? Yeah, I don't think it matters who they play.
And then we're gonna have Liberty, Arizona, or Liberty, Akron, or Oregon, Akron, Oregon, Arizona.
Yeah.
I'm taking Oregon, Arizona. I think that Arizona will beat Oregon. I just think now that we're in different divisions, haven't played each other, I don't think we're going to have quite the scoop that we would have had if we'd played them while we were in the Pac-12. So I think Arizona will end up being the better team and be able to get us out of there.
I'm on the opposite. This is my 12-13 matchup for the bracket, and I am going to ride the Flames because I go there. I do think Akron would probably beat us, but I do like Liberty. They have a good team. They move the ball well. They can hit shots, as can Akron. So just off bias, I'm going with Liberty to beat Akron.
Yeah, right on. Got to have a few. And then we got BYU, Wisconsin. BYU obviously is great. I just think that this was where their luck's going to run out. Wisconsin is a very good team. I think they're a top 10 team for sure. So I'm going to take Wisconsin here.
I'm on the opposite. I'm going to take the BYU Cougars. I do think Wisconsin's probably the better team. BYU plays really well. They play bad if you double team Demon, who is known to be phenomenal at passing. Although he's very young, it's obvious when he's getting double teamed that he can make some great plays and a lot of not so great plays. With that, I think their shooting is enough to maybe overcome a tough Wisconsin team. So I'm going to take the Cougs to advance there.
Right on. Then we got St. Mary's and Bama. And obviously, SEC has looked incredible this year with Florida and Bama kind of leading the way. I expect Bama to get it done here. Obviously, St. Mary's is a very good basketball school, so if they show up, I could definitely see laying them with the points. But I just think money line wise and for the purpose of the bracket, I think Bama will probably take them out.
Yeah, I think this is a game that St. Mary's could very much win against Alabama, just based off of Alabama's depth and getting 40 points a game off the bench. I think that'll benefit them. I do think St. Mary's playing such a slow game of basketball is going to limit Alabama's ability to require the bench to come in and score a lot, which will help St. Mary's slow it down and probably cover. I think they have a chance to win, but for bracket's sake, I'm going to take Alabama.
Yeah, right on. Then we got moving to the Midwest. Got Houston and Gonzaga would be leading things off for us. Or if you're not taking Gonzaga, you're going to have Houston and Georgia. Just going to take Houston. I think they're, if not the best team, one of the best teams over the last 5 years for sure. So if that can kind of keep rolling, then they should have no problem with Gonzaga. I think they beat Gonzaga last year, 2 years ago as well. So it'd be interesting to see that one again.
Yeah, like I mentioned, I think Gonzaga's made about 20 straight Sweet 16s. I'm going to take them to upset Houston, and that'll be the first 1 seed to go down. So I know a lot of people with Houston in the championship. Play it safe. I could see it. That bracket's not too tough, but I'm going to take Gonzaga to upset.
Yeah, right on. Then we got Purdue, or you may have High Point, which doubt, versus Clemson or McNeese. I'm going to take Purdue in this one. I actually like Clemson the more I look at this game. I see that I've picked Purdue, and I'm more thinking that I might as well switch it just because Clemson's kind of the sleeper 5 seed out of
I got
everybody.
Clemson. Yeah, that's my
Um,
squad.
but yeah, I'm just going to stick with Purdue for now just because that's kind of what I had first. Um, Supposedly by seeding they're supposed to be the better team, but we never know. So we'll see what happens when it comes to it. But yeah, I'm just gonna stick with Purdue. And then Texas and Xavier, if they were to win against Illinois, would be playing Kentucky. Either way, taking Kentucky to beat either one of those teams. Now that does scare me a little bit because if Texas plays Kentucky, I think they actually match up really well with Kentucky
Mm-hmm.
in terms of size, strength. So I think that it would be more interesting to see Texas there than Xavier. Um, but I'm still going to take Kentucky. As long as they can play a decent ball, they should be able to win.
Yeah, I'm just running this bracket with the orange. So I got Clemson, and then I have Illinois continuing on, and I do have them beating Kentucky. I think Kentucky is very good offensively, very poor defensively, very inconsistent. I think Illinois is one of the most consistent teams, and they're solid at both offense and defense. So I have them going forward. And then I have Utah State playing Tennessee in that next game, and I also have Tennessee going forward over Utah State. So a lot of orange coming out the bottom.
Yep, and I got Tennessee beating UCLA. Then we'll move to the Sweet 16, down to 8 games. First in the South, we're gonna have Auburn and Michigan. I think if kind of things play out the way we see it, or it could be Auburn versus Texas
A&M.
A&M. Gonna take Auburn. Just stick with Auburn here. I think that they should be able to handle Michigan or Texas A&M regardless.
Yeah, I think
I definitely
Auburn's
think
got them.
that out of all the 1 seeds, I think that Auburn actually got a pretty nice looking bracket compared to everybody else. So I think that they'll be able to take advantage of it and beat Michigan or Texas A&M.
Yep, I agree. I have A&M playing them, but I do have Auburn winning. I think they'll be able to take care of business. And then next I have UNC making it to advance against Michigan State. I think that's when their luck runs out and Izzo takes over. And I think that'll lead to a Elite Eight with Auburn and Michigan State.
Yep, I've got Michigan State and Auburn as well. Michigan State beating Iowa State in mine. Just think that Izzo, with his experience and with that roster that they have this year, they can shoot the lights out. So as long as they play decent, they should be able to win that game. Then we got in the West, we got Florida and Colorado State if they make it. If you don't have Colorado State, then you'd have either GCU, Maryland, or Drake. Or sorry, GCU, Maryland, or Memphis. Personally, I think that Florida is going to be my favorite to win this year, so I'm taking them here. We talked about them a little bit, one of the few teams with 30 wins. But not only that, they've played some really tough teams. So I think that Florida is going to be one of the most battle tested, and this is going to be where Colorado State's luck's going to run out.
Yep, I think Florida should handle them fairly easily. I could see them win it by 30. Then the next game I think will be super tough. I have Texas Tech and St. John's.
Yep.
I'm rooting for St. John's. I'm going to pick St. John's. It scares me though, just because they lack shooting severely. They shoot 31% from three, but they do have my favorite player from last year and this year. Kadari Richmond came from Seton Hall. He's a triple double threat, and then R.J. Lewis is a bucket. So based off those guys alone and Patino, I'm taking Johns to move on against Florida in that Elite Eight.
Yeah, that'll be a really good. I think that'll be a really good opportunity for Rick Pitino to kind of stamp his own, name kind of on wherever he goes. He just wins, and making it to the Elite Eight with St. John's in one of his first years. I can't remember if it's his first or second year, but it's pretty impressive. So I just got to give him a lot of credit because I don't know where that team was 3-5 years ago. They've been in the tournament, but they haven't been like a 2 seed for sure. So I do think it's really impressive, and I really hope they can take down Texas Tech. In the East, we got Duke and Arizona. If you don't have Arizona, then you may have Liberty or Oregon. Personally, I'm just going to take Duke. If Cooper Flag's back and playing good basketball, then I just don't see many games that Duke loses in this tournament. I'm going to stick with Duke against Arizona.
Yep, I got Duke against Liberty, but I think that they should smack them, honestly, probably by 30 or more. And then that next matchup, I took BYU to beat Wisconsin and then Alabama to beat the Gales. Very back and forth on both of those games. If BYU plays Alabama, I did take BYU to win that game. I think they play a little bit slower pace, hit some shots, limit the bench production by Alabama, and I have them moving on. If it's BYU and the Gales, I think St. Mary's could move on from there. If it is St. Mary's and Alabama, I think Alabama gets it done. So a lot of different things going on there with matchups, but I'm going to take BYU to advance over Alabama to match up with Duke in that Elite Eight.
Right on, and I'm going to take Wisconsin to beat Bama. 3 seed taking down the 2 seed, and I think that would set up an incredibly fun matchup with Duke and Wisconsin. I think that would be the game of the year for sure. So I'm looking forward to that. I really hope that Wisconsin kind of keep themselves in it because I think that they're probably going to be Duke's toughest road from their bracket. I don't think that Alabama would play Duke very well. Don't think that Arizona, Liberty, Oregon, anybody would really play Duke very well. But Wisconsin's the one team that kind of sticks out to me. That's like, if there's any team that has a chance to beat Duke, it's them. So if they can get it done in the Elite Eight, that would be incredible. So yeah, taking Wisconsin to beat Bama, and I think I'll probably end up taking Duke to beat Wisconsin, but I think that will probably be game of the year if it ends up happening. Last two, we got in the Midwest. We got Houston and Purdue, or you may have Houston and Clemson. Or
Clemson
if you don't have Houston, you have Gonzaga. Yep, you have Clemson and Gonzaga. Personally, I have Houston and Purdue still. Could be Houston and Clemson. I'm kind of back and forth. I'd just taken Houston just because they're the 1 seed, and obviously they've had the best last 5 years. So I'm just going to stick with Houston here. As long as they can play their brand of basketball, they should be able to take it down, whoever it is.
Yeah. So my matchup's Gonzaga Clemson, and I took Clemson. If it is Houston that beats Gonzaga, which it probably will be, I would take Houston to beat Clemson. Um,
Right
However,
on.
just matchup wise, I think Clemson matches up really well with Gonzaga, and I really like their team. Again, first got to get past McNeese State, which worries me week one, or game one. But I do have Clemson advancing to the Elite Eight to play against. I have Tennessee beating Illinois in my Sweet 16. Um, Tennessee's got a good team. They're kind of shaky, so um, it kind of worries me a little bit if they're actually going to get there. Illinois could put up a fight if Illinois is going to get there, because who really knows? I mean, Illinois got tough matchups to begin with, and
Yeah,
that Texas Xavier, and even going past that Kentucky. So
Kentucky. Yeah.
yeah,
I'm gonna take Tennessee as well. I think that they will probably beat Kentucky though. I think that'll be a really good game, but kind of like the way you talked about it, both those teams are kind of hit and miss for being a 2 or 3 seed. So I think that could actually make for a really fun game. And I think if that were to happen, Tennessee would come out as the victors. So I'm going to stick with them. Then let's move on to the Elite Eight. Down to the last four games. Championship in each division. A lot of 1-2s, 1-3s, 1-4s, a few things here and there. In the South, I've got Auburn and Michigan State, and I think Michigan State is going to beat Auburn in the Elite Eight. I think that that would be the one time that Auburn would really falter. So I think that Michigan State has a good shot to win that one.
yeah, coming down this Elite Eight, I think Auburn. I think they can just outshoot Michigan State. The defensive battle, I think both teams are pretty solid defensively.
Yeah.
Both can score in the paint, but 3-point shooting, I'm going to give the advantage to Auburn, and I will have them advance to my Final Four. Where the team that I want to root for, I am going to actually take out for the same reason. I love St. John's, and I'm going to have them losing to Florida for the same reason as Michigan State, that they can't shoot the three ball. They have great defense, both top five defensive teams in the nation, but I'm going to go with the 1 seed Auburn versus 1 seed Florida coming out of those two sides.
Yeah, and that Florida St. John's game, I think it's going to be another one that's going to be an absolute banger.
Yeah.
So I really hope that both those teams make a good run because that would be such a fun game to watch, especially for me. Like I love when I have a little bit invested in the teams, just kind of have an idea of who's on the squad, who's coaching the squad, so you can just get a feel for how they play. And I think that Florida so far this season has been one of the best teams, but man, St. John's has really rallied behind Rick Pitino and just his style of coaching. So I really think that could make for a fun game, but I'm taking Florida to win it. Then moving on to the East, we got Duke and Wisconsin, or you could have Duke and BYU, I believe, right? Or
That's
Duke
what
and
I said.
Bama, or possibly Arizona. I'm personally think it's going to be Duke and Wisconsin. I think that that'll be probably one of the games of the year. I think that Duke will probably end up winning it, but I think it's going to be super close, kind of like the UNC game where it was back and forth. A lot of lead changes, but I do think towards the end of the game, Duke will manage to get to the free throw line a little bit more, and that'll be able to edge them out against Wisconsin.
Yeah, whoever it is, Wisconsin, which I think is more realistic, or I have BYU. I do think Duke's going to take care of business at the end of the day and make it to the Final Four uh, with a healthy Cooper Flag. So
Yeah, for sure. And then we got Houston and Tennessee would be the last 1-2 in the Midwest. If you don't take them, you might have Purdue. If you don't take Purdue, you might have Clemson. If you have Houston going out, you may take Gonzaga or Purdue as well. Personally, I think it's going to be Houston against Tennessee. I think that's where Houston's going to falter, and I do think that Tennessee is going to be a tough matchup for them. I just think that Tennessee's size is going to help a lot. So I'm hoping that that's the case, and Houston just shoots like butt cheeks, and then Tennessee will be able to take that one.
yeah, this scares me because I don't really like this team at all. I'm taking Tennessee to beat Clemson. Uh, Again, part of it's that matchup reason I took Clemson already to move on multiple times when they could lose round one.
Yeah,
So I'm going to take Tennessee to advance to that Final Four against Duke. Same kind of reasons. They're good. They're solid through and through, offense and defensively. Now I just hope they don't get outshot by a potential Utah State. So
yeah,
if that happens early, I'm screwed. Then I could see Illinois even pulling through. But again, anyone can shoot and hit shots or miss shots in the NCAA March Madness. So.
yeah.
I
And
think that
then
leaves us with the
obviously I got
same
the
Final
final.
Four, though. Yeah.
Yeah, Florida, Michigan State, Duke, and Tennessee. I'm gonna
I
take
took
Florida
Auburn,
and
not
Duke.
Michigan State, but otherwise, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm taking Florida to win versus Michigan State. I just think they're gonna be the better team, have more experience, played the tougher games on the season, and that'll will them to a win. And then Duke versus Tennessee. I don't know why, but I see it as a game where Tennessee just kind of falls apart. I don't know. I don't know why. I really don't. I just have a random gut feeling. So that would match up Florida and Duke in the final for me.
Yeah, this is tough. I really want to root for Auburn, so I'm going to just take Auburn over Florida and have them against Duke because those are my two favorite teams coming out the bracket this year. Auburn obviously didn't get it done first round last year, so
Mm-hmm.
it makes me nervous. But I really do want it to be Duke and St. John's. I love St. John's this year. I would love to see them make a run at it. I do have Florida beating St. John's, and so I should have Florida beating Auburn. I don't. I'm gonna go with Auburn and Duke in the finals, and then I'm gonna have Duke win it all. Finally, get past their. I think it's a 10-year drought where they just keep
Yeah.
choking. I think that their team, even despite these health issues that they've been having, are going to be able to win it all and surprise a lot of people. And then Cooper Fly will get that first pick in the draft.
Yeah. No, if they win, he definitely will. If they don't, pretty sure he will, anyways. But I'm going to take Florida to win it all. I think that Duke's just going to have a tough time. I don't see them, especially if Cooper Flag's injury is still lingering. There could be a chance that he gets re-aggravated by that point. And I just think that if he's not 100%, then that gives Florida a real edge in that game.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just going to take Florida to win it. I am taking them to win the game. I think it was like 68-63 or maybe 68-64. So I think it's going to be relatively close, maybe like a 4 or 5 point game at the end. I'm not sure how it'll go in the middle. But I do think that it's going to be a pretty fun game. I think that Florida will win, but I think it'll be a pretty close one for the most part.
Okay.
So, yeah. No, other than that, the only other thing I really wanted to touch on was F1 started last weekend. We had the first race of the year in Australia. Super entertaining race, wet race, kind of on and off, where the sun would come out and it would dry up the track, and so would the drivers. And then the rain would come and it would make the track all wet. So there was like 5 pit stops from each driver. So super fun race to watch. Lando Norris and the McLarens just look like they're on a different level this year. So if you have anywhere that you can get McLaren to win a constructors championship, or maybe Lando or Oscar to win a drivers championship this year and get some decent value on it, I would highly recommend taking that. I just think that the McLarens this year are just miles ahead. Now I know Max Verstappen was able to get P2 and was only like 8 tenths behind in the last race, but there were 3 or 4 different safety cars from the yellow flags from people crashing. And that really did bring the group back together. I think that if none of that were to happen, the McLarens would have won by probably 30 or 35 seconds, which is pretty crazy. So that pretty much gives them an edge of around 6/10 a lap, which is right around what you hope to get for the entire season in developing your car. So if McLaren's already that far ahead, there's not going to be much way for them to lose the championship. And we've already heard Max Verstappen, he's clearly the best driver. Won 4 in a row. He said there's no one that's going to be able to touch that car for a little while, at least 4 or 5 races. And not only that, but there are just other things that are going to come up where McLaren's is just going to get better. So I do think that they're a solid pick. This weekend's in China. I'm not sure exactly who won it last year. I think that Max probably won China last year, but I think that Oscar Piastri would be a great pick for China this year, just because in Australia he had a little run in where he ended up going off the track and only ended in 9th place, even though they were basically running 1-2 and he was catching Lando the entire race. So I think he's going to want to make up for that mistake. If they get dry weather, then he's going to be incredible to watch. I'm really looking forward to watching Oscar on this weekend. So I'm going to take him to win this race this weekend. And I'm hoping that Oscar would be the driver to win the Drivers' Championship because he got so much skill. And, I do like Lando. I just don't know if he has the maturity and the mental strength to really get to a world championship level. So I'm hoping Oscar takes it. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got for F1 this year so far. I'll kind of touch on it more as the races start to continue throughout the season. But yeah.
We'll probably get to some NBA playoffs too, because that's coming up. Maybe address some of those trades because we never really touched much on the trade deadline. Some of those different trades have made other teams look great and some worse. So we'll get to that in a little bit. Keep your eyes posted. We're going to drop a parlay for this weekend's first week matchups for round 1 of March Madness, and hopefully we'll see you guys next week.
Yep. Hopefully see you guys soon. If we don't, make sure you guys enjoy yourselves and enjoy the content. And let us know what you want. Obviously, right now we got a little bit of break in football, so there's a lot of different things that could be going on. I'm personally getting more into golf, watching a lot of TGL and PGA Tour golf along with Live Golf. It's just been really entertaining.
Masters incoming, Scotty Masters.
Yeah, it'd be cool. I really love Justin Thomas. He's been an absolute freaking light show to watch this year. It's super fun. TGL has been great. I think the finals are next week. I think it's a 3 versus the 4 seed Atlanta Drive versus New York. So pretty interesting that both the 1 and 2 seed lost. It just kind of seems like it's whoever has their day. So looking forward to watching that. But until then, we'll see you guys soon. Hopefully we'll be able to get some NBA playoff picks and start to talk about kind of how the postseason's shaping up. And go Kings. Peace.
All right. See you guys.